All right, good morning, good morning, good morning. Monday, May the 4th be with you. 2026. Let's go. Got a little bit of volatility this morning off some fake news about some missiles hitting a US ship, but it turns out that's fake news being passed out by Iran. So S&Ps are kind of opening up just below the range from last Friday. Taking a look at the TPO chart, we did have kind of a balanced range up around 280, which was constructive considering we had this balanced range around the 160, 150. We tested lower into the gap, rejected it. Now I've tested higher and did find some sort of balance. So potentially, my main thesis for the markets today is potentially a test down below this volume value area from last Thursday, maybe down to 220, and then use that as support to launch higher. I don't think if the market was clearly rejecting these higher prices around 280, 290, the distribution would look like that. That's not a quick rejected distribution. That's an agreement between buyers and sellers on that price, right? The more normalized the distribution, the more accepted price is. But it's Monday morning. I want to be patient. I wanted to look at crude this morning as well. The problem is that CL in Tradevate is frozen. MCL still works, but CL is frozen. So without having CL moving, I can't really trade it, right? Because where's the price at now? 102.97. See, and CL just doesn't move or anything, so I don't know what to do about that. It doesn't move on any of the charts, doesn't move on TPO, doesn't move it on the weekly. So we're just going to leave that alone. We'll look at it within trading view, but we'll just keep our eyes pretty much on S&Ps this morning. Because without that critical piece of information, we're not really interested. So let's see where the markets go this morning a little bit. We got no economic news releases this morning, but we do have the danger of headlines in the form of Trump tweets, any Iranian news. So we do need to keep our news open and just keep a mindful eye on that. Trump did say yesterday that he's going to send in the Navy to the Strait of Hormuz to try to help ships navigate the strait and get through safely. That potentially puts U.S. ships in harm's way. So I would suspect there potentially could be some harmful news today. But again, it's Monday. Let some weekly range develop. One of the biggest theories that we have is that without any major economic releases today, institutions might wait until tomorrow, Tuesday, to start taking some positions for the week. So we'll kind of see where things take us. I don't really see much to do at the moment. We're kind of falling back into that Thursday range, the top of the distribution. So maybe we get as low as 230, 220 today and test below that distribution from last Thursday. It's primarily filled with market on close orders, so it's not very a reliable distribution. Yeah, I mean, potentially you could go down to like 220s, but I don't really see you falling back into the range with a high at 210. Right? I mean, maybe you dip, but there should, I would think, be a quick rejection out of that. I mean, the market wants to move up. The hindrance to it is high oil prices and the Iran war. But you get the impression that the market wants to move higher. A very calm open, 14,000 contracts in the first minute. Not big, not small either. It was huge. And I'm really annoyed that I can't look at crude oil this morning. Really annoyed by that. I used to trade crude oil, but then I had given it up when there was no volatility. The just price wouldn't move. It was just stuck around $60 a barrel. There was just nothing to do. But now oil is back, baby. And we wanted to add it to our charts, but I don't understand why. Okay. At least it added some distribution for the day. And kind of updated the, like, if I just keep going back and forth, will it update? Yeah, maybe it will. But the 103, it's just the price is still stuck at 103.28. But the footprint seems to be updating. But I mean, try to use that kind of lagging chart to make trade decisions, I think it would just be insane. So leave it alone. Leave it alone. Very tight range so far. Only one large transaction, pretty good size at 250, 532 contracts, sell order. Sold right at the highs there, these swing highs. A pretty big order. So that's pretty heavy absorption. Now you're getting heavy absorption on both sides. These are big prints here. But we got to allow this some more time. We're 5 minutes in. You're getting heavy absorption prints on both sides. You're getting a failure to move below this 247 POC already, where a lot of the volume has come in. But you also did have an absorption of 870 contracts, which is heavy, heavy, heavy. So until we really kind of get out of this range, I mean, I don't want to weigh too heavily on this pre-market range here, but I mean, there is obviously some sellers willing to absorb the market buys at 250, and it seems that the same is true on the other side at 242. So I would like for it to get away from this 247 a little bit and then fail to get back into this range on some side, and that would potentially be the trade. And potentially you just balance here for the day. It's Monday, right? Everyone's just kind of waiting for the economic releases for tomorrow, some more Iran news. This is a little bit of a low volume area between the Friday and Thursday distributions. It could gain some acceptance, but let's let it play out a little bit. Let's not get crazy and start trying to jump into things. I want the market to actually like, right, when you're in a very tight consolidated range, like there's no real sense in taking a trade other than like a scalp from the top of the range back to the center of the range, right? Or the bottom of the range to the center of the range. With this type of tight range and overlap and rotational overlap, I really want price to break from that range, retest it, resist it, and then that be the trade. All right, so but we need to get out of this range a little bit. Right, from essentially 9 a.m. this morning. All right, 9 a.m. Yeah, we've been kind of bouncing on S&Ps between 252 and 244, call it. So this is range. This has been going on since 9 o'clock this morning. And that Iranian missile fake news was earlier because I had opened my charts at 6 o'clock this morning, and that news was there. So volume came in the top of the candles, pushed things right back down. See if the POC shifts down here and holds prices up. There's a good amount of volume coming in here at the lows at 245. It's not a quick snap rejection. Yep. So all the volume came in at the lows there, but it's not quickly rejecting. Right? You're not snapping out of here. Yeah. Just be patient with this. Let the market develop a little bit. Is that accurate? Maybe it was. Gold's down 1.5% today. Silver's down almost 3%. I haven't looked at gold in a really long time. Well, not a really long time, like a week. Yeah. So you're breaking some of the buyer absorption, sellers absorptions coming in at lower prices. Now they're now absorbing around the POC, but all the volume's still at the lows here. That's a lifting price. All right, so you're getting a little bit of a mixed signal, a mixed picture here. But you did break some of this buyer absorption here, but this wasn't really heavy absorption. 45 contracts isn't that much. 446 is nothing to sneeze at. 870 is definitely not something to sneeze at. And 250 is a modest print. All right, so that volume in the lows coming in at like 245 is still lifting price. Getting some large contract activity. Just had to buy at 249 and a quarter, 208 contracts. So I kind of marked the swing high right there. You had a seller down at 244.75 right here. So that marks that swing low. Right. So that's marking your swing highs and your swing lows as large contractual activity. People buying trapped at the tops, people selling at the bottoms, trapped there. And then we just grind around this POC. Yeah, there's no predicting where this is going to go really at the moment, to be quite honest. Overall, I think you have a better bullish thesis than you do a bearish thesis based off the distributions and what's kind of happened over the last couple of weeks here. So, overall, you'd rather be long than short, but this order flow is just really mixed at the moment. This is just balance right now. We're good transacting here until we get further guidance either out of, global news or economic news. You'll probably get global news before you get economic news. I don't know what's on the agenda for tomorrow in terms of economics. Let's take a peek. We're not doing anything. Services PMI, JOLTS, jobs, new home sales, all at 10 o'clock. Yeah, okay. So that might be enough for institutions to start thinking about taking positions. I mean, ideally here we break out of this value area high, the 250s, and then we come back and test this area, the 250s, and fail to get back into value. That's kind of the trade I'm envisioning right now. That looks the best to me. But I mean, this is a heavy absorption here, and it still looks like it's going on. You are able to lift price a little bit away from this POC. All the volume here came in at the lows, lifted price. So this is bullish order flow. Again, you're starting to get signs of bullish order flow. But can you snap this range cleanly and come back and test it and reject it? That's what I would really like to happen. And you want price to stay above the volume. And that obviously was not it. All the volume that just came in there at 251 push down price for the most part. It's still trying, but does it look like it's going to hold up here? My apologies for my tiredness. Took son to the hospital last night. Yeah, so the majority of the volume there is still at the lows, right? And it's trying to lift price out of the value area, but did not do so very convincingly. So could just be patient, allow it some more time. Let's save our ammunition and our powder for when things are good. Let's just sit on our hands and wait. Make money waiting on your setups and sitting on your hands. That's so annoying. That's just stuck. right? You get reversal fives on crude, which would be bearish for equities, right? Anytime you have these geopolitical events, such as like a war that involves like oil and stuff, you'll really start to see equities move inversely to the price of crude oil. So if crude's shooting up, that should be pretty bearish for US equities. And at the moment, crude oil, I mean, again, because this lags right now. Yeah, it sucks. I can't do anything with it. I gotta stop looking at it, honestly. We just can't even factor it into our analysis with that chart not being able to update. I don't know what the hell's the problem. Right. Yeah. So the CLM's large order. So we don't have large order information. I don't have really footprint information. I don't have really daily distribution information. There's just so much missing information on crude oil that we can't even look at it. It's just infuriating. So a lot of rejection up here at 251. Not the quickest rejection, but you're definitely rejecting the top of this range. Volume comes in at the highs, pushes you lower, right? This is kind of a mixed picture right here, but this is still very much bearish. Yeah, there's absolutely nothing to do with this. Do not try to predict which way this is going to break out of this range. I don't think there's enough information here to give you that. All right, we're just in a very tight consolidated range. We found balance, good amount of volumes being transacted. Right, everyone's just kind of sitting around waiting, see what the next shoe to drop is. I can't imagine it's going to be great. The way things have been going lately with the news flow and stuff, like buyer at 250, very large size, almost 1,000 contracts, and they got all absorbed. It did not take up price. So that is that right there. But we're holding above it. It got absorbed, but they just kept on buying afterwards. So maybe this is the catalyst now for your break. Let's see. And this large buyer at 250. Again, I don't want to be just like barely making it above prior swing highs and barely. It's just you want a clean break at this range, right? You want a lot of volume to come in, push things away, and then come back and try to test that volume. I mean, we need to know that this isn't a trap, right? Where they just let you get out ahead. Like everyone's like, oh, breakout, start buying. And then all the sells come in and just flatten you. Right. So you need it to break cleanly, come back, test, and then reject to retest. You don't want to buy the initial breakout ever. Ever. Yeah, still a very tight range. Swing highs around 255, swing lows 242, 13-point range. Tiny. And you don't want the volume coming in here at the highs that just pushes right back down into value. You're not really quickly rejecting this either. You are able to make a push higher. You are now have broken the absorption here around 250, 251, right? So let's see if the market could come back and test value. Right? If it comes back and quickly rejects the highs of this absorption level, top of the value area, lots of volume comes in, we get a quick rejection off that. I like that. I'll take that. And probably shooting for like 275 as a target, which is the POC from Monday. All right, so volume coming in is holding down price. Still not overwhelmingly quick. You do have some wick action on the candle. And this is, for the most part, bearish up here at 253. Suppressed price. Now you got this lift in price, which would be a good sign if you're a bull. But we're not going to chase this higher. I want a retest lower that fails. Check some headlines. Market on open and balance, negative 194 million on S&Ps. Some size, not huge. Yeah, so that wasn't very constructive, right? So bearish, neutral, and let's see where you finish here. Right, because if this also turns out to be bearish, where the volume comes in, suppresses price, you might really get your tested the value area for sure then. Bearish. It was a buy at 256 for 141 contracts. So that was the first large transaction above 250. There's a bunch of size at 250. Bunch of size at 250. All right, and it's now the POC for the day because of that. And several large transactions. So you are getting resistance here. All the volume that's coming in at 253 is now pushing you back down. I don't suspect after seeing all that volume up there that you're going to hold 251 in the value area high or this low volume area at 252. I don't see it. And I don't want to go long here either. Just the way this has gone down. This was not a clean breakout of this area. All the volume that came in suppressed price. Right. A good breakout doesn't, I don't think really looks like this. Let's see what happens when you get up here in the 255s again. I mean, this is pretty bullish right here. And especially because it happened in that low volume area right above value. It tends to be pretty bullish, but I don't think they're going to get very far with this. Right. I don't suspect this is really going to be a range breakout trend type day. No major economic news coming out today. It's Monday. A lot of uncertainty with Iran. Like, you want to build up positions when you're very confident in your position. I don't feel like this is a build a position environment. Not where you are currently. And potentially we just find balance around 250 today. The 256. Yeah, I mean, guys at the swing highs, literally. Still bearish, neutral, bearish, bullish, neutral. Bearish, neutral. So you're getting a mixed picture here towards the top of this distribution, and you're starting to get this is a pretty clean curvature, right? So it's potentially possible that the auction is just done up here. All right, where's the swing highs from this morning? Yeah, swing high at 910 was 256. Swing high at around 818 was 256. Right, you're banging up against the swing high from this morning. Getting higher absorption though. It's interesting. But volume that's coming in here is still holding down price, but it's not quickly rejecting. So there's enough of a response on behalf of sellers to keep price down, but not so responsive that they're taking the initiative going the other way up until now. Again, I'm not buying into this. I'm not buying into it. Because again, I don't think we're going to hold 251. Like, you probably want to see some buyer absorption here, quick rejection of this area. You're rejecting a little bit. Seller at 254.25. So it was up here and not into the swing lows. Decent rejection. That's pretty decent rejection. Wow. All right, we're not thinking this is going to be like a institutional type trend day, and it's more of a balance day. Can't really be getting long at 252 and 251 if that's the hypothesis, right? It would be scalp trades from like 256 down. But the fact that we're hanging up here and not quickly rejecting tells me also that's maybe not the case and not the trade right now. So I really don't see where the trade is, honestly. I mean, it might just be that this is the shape of the distribution for the rest of the day, that we balance around 250 in a very tight manner until there's more clarity. I mean, the only thing that leans me bullish towards a potential just extension of this range higher is the fact that we're on top of this absorption. We're rejecting getting back into value, right? We've broken heavy sell absorption, right? You want a quick rejection here. You want the volume coming in here. You want price to close above it. The large orders on S&Ps got cleared out for some reason. I fucking trade evade, man. I swear to God. I mean, put a little piece on here, S&Ps, and just see what happens. 253.75 stops 248.5. Right? I don't think we need to be super wide with the stop here. Just because this volume is coming in, it's quickly rejecting. You're on top of this absorption area, right? You can't get back into value really. Right? You try it 3 times here. Each time you closed above a back outside value with volume coming in. So just a quarter position. I mean, again, because I don't think this is really a trend break. I'm just kind of looking for a little bit of a range extension. I mean, maybe to push up into like the 260s. I don't know if we can get up to the POC from yesterday at 273. The volume's coming in here, pushing you back down a little bit. You want to stay above the volume, and you don't really want to close back within value, right? But this is a quarter position, small with a pretty tight stop in at 253.75. And then we would bail at 248.50 with the potential to just bail out earlier if the order flow is just absolutely overwhelming and it looks like we're going to get destroyed. All right, but I like this little low volume area here. Like I like the order flow looking at this trade, honestly. I like the volumes at the lows here. I don't really want to see this POC move up here. Right? I mean, just to take a scalp up to like 256 just sucks. Right? But that what happened right there, that quick rejection sucked too. What's kind of crude oil doing? I mean, I had the impression that crude oil wanted to pop. Now you don't get the sense that it wants to pop. So maybe that's good for equities then. 248.50. Yeah, I'm comfortable with this 248.50. Take the risk. Right, let's see if we can't just get a little bit of a break and a little range extension. If we get a little break of this and a range extension, and oh my goodness, extension, as soon as we start seeing signs of bearish order flow, we're going to ditch it. But that's after a range extension. I want to see 256 broken and maybe potentially a push into the 260s, which is kind of the low volume area from Friday. Right, the value area low from Friday is around 266. I think that would be pushing it as a potential range today. It's, you know, it's okay. This is okay. This isn't great though. And the fact that you haven't quickly rejected and just snapped out of here is also a pretty good sign. You're still above this really heavy absorption. You're not really making more attempts at this value area high. Volume coming in. Like if a ton of volume comes in and just breaks and snaps this back down at 256, which is just the swing high from this morning, I'll just ditch it. Like you got to get above 256 and you can't. The volume just came in again at 256. Well, no, this isn't, I don't think, an ad type situation unless we start seeing some large orders. And I don't know if the large order thing on S&Ps is even working right now. So there you go. The volume just coming in. Like, oh, okay. After this wick, I'll break even. Yeah, 254 stop. I don't care if we get stopped at 254. There's a lot of volume coming in right above the highs. Like this is like the extent of the range extension, maybe, right? They let you peak above. I mean, stay above this volume here at 255. That'd be great. But otherwise, I think we're just bailing and just taking our clean stop at 254 for no gain. Yep, out. All right. All right, that's not what you wanted to see happen at all. Especially because then all the volume came in down towards the low and price stayed below it. I mean, we could absolutely just get another test of 252s here and then it resists this and then, you know, extends the range more. But I mean, this trade of 8 data this morning is infuriating because you pay for this and then it's just absolutely unreliable. Things are frozen. See, 103.28 still. Like, fuck me, man. Stuff sucks. Yeah, it looks like crude oil is breaking down a little bit. So that's good for equities. You know, maybe we'll see what comes in here at 253, 252 and reevaluate now that we see oil's breaking down a little bit. At least it's trying to. It's swing low. It's right at the swing lows. So starting to see some buyer absorption here. You're still kind of rangy on the S&Ps. Right, you're trying to get out of here, but this was not good. This candle right here was not good. And you're staying below the volume. It's pretty bearish flow here. So until that flips bullish, and depending where it flips bullish, and if ideally, if you're looking for a scalp bull trade, you want it down here at the value area low or at the value edge down in the 240s, low 240s, where all this buyer absorption is. But then do you want to give ground for this for the sellers who are pretty present here at 250? Again, I don't know if there's any large transactions. I'm flying blind right now. It's so dumb. It's so dumb, Trade of 8. Why can't you guys get your shit together? 2026, guys. Come on. Yeah, that's not very convincing, is it? That you want to try to break that 257s again? Because you just tried to break. This was a pretty prevalent swing high right here at 256. You broke it and then came right back into the range, and now you're resisting the same range high. All right. So now the very likely next thing to happen is you're going to test the range lows, I would think. I would think. That's just based off what kind of range developed in this break out of the range that quickly got rejected. And all the flow here is bearish now. All the flow here at this little distribution now is bearish. You are getting buyer absorption here in the low volume area. But I mean, if I had better clarity on the large orders right now, I mean, I'm be entertaining shorts here actually. Just down to the swing lows, down to 243. Because that is a logical next step of this market to test now, based off what we just saw happen. Prevalent range got broken, buyers tried to take it out, sellers came in, snapped you right back into the range, and now you can't get back towards the high of this range. Like you come up short. Yeah, I mean, I want to sell maybe like 253s and 3/4. Stop to 58. See how we feel about that. And you're not quickly rejecting out of this last area where you had buyers absorb. There are more signs of buyers absorption. This might be a bad trade. Yeah, I'm going to cancel it just because, we're right on top of the seller absorption, right? You have more buyers absorbing here. All right, the volume is starting to come in at the lows and push you higher. Yeah, it's a tough one. I mean, this is a very tight range too. It's not very ideal for a range scalp trade, honestly. Let's be patient a little bit. I don't want to just jump from bullish to bearish from a potential range extension breakout type trade then to do like a range scalping trade. This is probably going to bite me in the butt and it's probably going to shoot much lower down to the value area low, but like we're kind of resistant to just being above the POC here. There's just a lot of conflicting stuff going on here, and I just don't want to engage right now. I'm gonna give it a little bit. Still kind of early. And this range, 242 to 258, is so tight. 15-point range after a half hour of trading is very tight range. And I think trying to short 253 and 3/4 or whatever the price was that we were trying to short at, I mean, that's just like trying to get every freaking piece of meat off the bone, man. Like, you can't be that greedy, I don't think. I just want a little more clarity, I think. As you're coming up, where you get volume to come in and resist things is right here at 255. See if that happens again. See if there's any headlines. US factory orders. I wasn't even aware that was today. But I don't think that's a red folder news or even orange folder news. I think it's yellow folder news. Yeah, it's yellow folder. No one cares. No one cares. So you're making another attempt to break out of this range, if that's even. Oh, Jesus. Bam. Just like that, folks. Just like that. Bam. Well, okay, so large orders and S&Ps still apparently work because now 252.5 for 150 contracts. Buyer. I don't see any news releases or anything. Crude is moving up. Seller at 250. Got trapped. Man, you failing to get back into 250 where all that size is, right? All right, I wish it still showed it on the time and sales list. The number of contracts that got absorbed at 250 and were transacted at 250 was pretty heavy. And you just like every time you come near 250, there's just the quick rejection. Like if this comes down and quickly rejects it again, it's just like, what are you doing to me, market? You're just such a tease. All right, so there the volume came in at 250. There's a sell at 248.5. Right, if you quickly reject this again, volume stays around 250. Not very convincing. Is crude still moving up? Yeah, crude's still kind of moving up. It's trying to. Mm-hmm. CLM still frozen? No. Crude oil is not frozen anymore, folks. Oh my god, it's a miracle. Ah, what a miracle. All right, well, back to S&Ps because we've been watching S&Ps without watching crude oil. So I would hate to just start looking at crude oil right now and jump into a trade or something. Leave it alone. Still resisting 250. You're not very cleanly rejecting the value area high. Yeah, you can't really make it outside of value here now, but you're not snapping down and staying away from it. Volume coming in at the lows, pushing you higher. Yeah, I'm not sold on a bullish case here, man. Just not. Was that news driven? No. No major news that I can see. All right, well, you're hanging outside the value area a little bit. You're not immediately rejecting 258 here. Well, like how I say that, then it starts to reject. You see. Yeah, crude's now breaking down again. Yeah, so that's good for S&Ps. But now, again, it's going to be the similar setup to earlier. Can we get a test back down into the range at 256 and cleanly reject it? It's good that you stayed above the volume there. It's pretty good. All right, you cleared the absorption. Even better. Not a very quick rejection up here. Even better. So there's a lot of bullish order flow signs right now. but you need a better entry. The better entry there is around 257 to 256. That's the entry I'm targeting. And it's just going to be for like a range extension. Again, I don't think this is a trend day. I think we need to consolidate now that we've broken the previous consolidated range at 150, 160. So develop a new consolidated range, maybe around 250, 260, and then use that as a launch point. But all the volume up here at 260s is still coming into swing lows, so that's pretty good. But we want to fail to move lower now for a potentially range extension trade, right? We don't think it's going to trend. We don't think there's any probabilities in scalping these highs, because you wouldn't just be hanging up here like this if you were going to come back lower quickly. We're just hanging out. Signs of absorption on the other side. That's good. Volume coming in at the lows. I would like to see potentially a test of 257 and a quarter in that area. But all the volume that's coming in here at 259 is still a lift in price for the most part up until that last little blip down. Buyer at 259 and a quarter. Yeah, potentially even move higher, right? All the volume up here is coming in at the lows and pushing things up. That's still pretty bullish. I mean, but honestly, I would like a test of 257. Like, reject that. Yeah, I don't know if you're gonna get it. And I don't want to buy here. If we're only looking for a range extension, we're not looking for a trend type move. So you can't buy the highs. On a trend day, you could buy the highs, because you'll get highs much farther away. But we could absolutely just be wrong and watch this market just fucking snap to the upside and break. Crude is just hanging out around 102 and a quarter. It's just been consolidating there since like about 9 o'clock this morning. So it's not doing anything. Not doing anything. And you're probably going to move a little bit higher here. Again, we speculated like kind of the top of any sort of consolidated balance range today. It might be the POC from Friday at 271-ish, 2-ish, somewhere in there. So you don't got a lot of room to the upside here, I don't think. Could be wrong. And these 262s is a swing low from Friday as well. Yeah, just patient. It's Monday. If we don't end up taking another trade this morning, it's fine. Scratch the first one. And I just want to take a nap so bad. So bad. Not many signs of bearish order flow up here. All right. Bullish Neutral bullish, neutral bullish, 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 neutral bullish, bullish. Sing it with me now. Bullish, bullish, neutral bullish, bullish, neutral bullish, bullish. Yeah, crude is dropping. It's trying to drop. Banging up on these swing lows at 101.80 though. Yeah, it was just a slow range extension higher. Doesn't give you the vibes of any sort of trend breakout or anything. Oops. Okay. So just slowly adding volume up here. Most of that flow still remains bullish though. This isn't bear short flow. Any stretch of the imagination. This is all bullish right here. Yeah, crude broke the swing lows a little bit. All right, there's probably a better trade opportunity on crude than there is on S&Ps, to be quite honest. So let's look at that for a second. Volume with the lows. Volume comes in, pushes you down. Volume comes in, keeps you away from the value area low. I'm going to have to go rotate laundry here in a moment. All right, seller absorption. Our absorption at lower. Yeah. Pretty normalized distribution, though. Very tight range on crude oil, too. Jeez, LPs. Volume coming in at the lows. Just trying to lift things. Now, maybe there's a short up here when you try to get back into value and see if you get like a quick, clean rejection there. Yeah, S&Ps are just, they're kind of just walking away right now. It's not a runaway, it's a walk away. Just taking a little walkabout. All right, you're finally starting to see some bearish flow here at 266. And this is kind of the area, the value area low from Friday, where like this may be as far as things get today, right? We don't really have a fundamental backing for any sort of trend day, I don't think, right now. No economic news, no major change in the headlines. I potentially think this is just like a balanced day, and we're just, now extending the range to the upside of the distribution, and that's about it. I think that's all we get out of this. I don't think we really get much higher than this. I think the rest of the day is maybe consolidation. But I like crude, where crude is and what spot it's in. Interesting to see what happens as you come back towards this value area low, whether or not you get some sort of quick rejection. All right, because this is a swing low. We've been bouncing up on this point for most of the morning. Right, and now you're below it. Now you had some buyer absorption up there at the 20s, 102.20. So if you start to see some seller absorption here, this might be a decent short. But if it just comes back into value and is able to hold value, yeah, maybe not. Maybe not. I don't think it would have looked like that, right? I was looking for a quick rejection. Oh, so now let's think about this, right? Because this is a very well-defined range for crude oil. These swing lows right here, and it aligns with the value area low, right? You went below it. Volume came in at the lows. This is kind of a quick rejection. Now you're back within value. If you come down and you can't get outside of value again and get more volume to come in, it actually might be a long. But you would think S&Ps would break down a little bit if that was the case. Yeah, bullish right here, bearish up in here. You're bearish at the top of 265, but they're trying to walk it higher. Yeah, volume coming low is pushing you higher. It's interesting. Crude is interesting. All right, volume right there at the lows. Bullish, 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 bullish. Combine it with the fact that you had this very well-defined range. Like if we get another test of this 95s and we reject it cleanly, I might want to put a piece, a little piece. But you would need, I would think you would need the rejection right here. And I feel like it would need to be quick and clean, quick and clean. Anything outside of quick and clean right now is not great. So that's pretty quick and clean, right, folks? Even though you got seller absorption, you're now resisting this. You can't get back outside of value. I'll put a, oh, come back. Come back. All right, so 102.10, put a little piece on. I'll stop it at 77. Catastrophic. We get another rejection here with volume coming in at the lows and we push back up into value. I'll add to it. But we need to hold back within this range, right? Anything below this is no bueno. Right? Look at that. I like that. I really like that. And we get a better price. I'm going to put another one at 05, see if I can't get a fill. I don't know if it's going to get there. Try 8. And it's like, why don't you just hit market order, you dumbass? All right, because I got the 8. That's why. Then you're getting some seller absorption here. I want to get away from this and go test the top of this range now. Those 102.90s. That's where I want things to go. 102.90. So half position on crude. Average price 102.09. Right above the POC. And hopefully S&Ps have made their move for the day. There you go. Nice little pop in oil now. Nice little popper. Well, let's go. Let's get some volume. All right, let's break these little swing highs here towards the value area high. Oh, POC moved higher. That wasn't favorable because you want the majority of volume in a bullish scenario to be below you, lifting price. All right, but there's no signs of seller absorption up here. There was over here. But I want to, like, let's get moving here, folks. 1029 is too quick to move the stop. It's too close. But I think we can cut risk to 85 at least. Crude's going to be volatile, folks. It's going to be volatile. I would sell a piece at 72, I think, just flat out. All right, this is where we kind of ran into some problems here during the US session. All right, I want to get out before the swing. So I'll put a limit at 71. Stop is down at 85 on the whole piece. I would suspect where all this volume came in and lifted price, it'd be very hard to get through 102s. I would suspect. So we're in at 09, 102.09. Stop at 85. Kind of need S&Ps to just hold up. And it looks like they just made a nice, good rejection of going lower. That's not favorable to crude prices, I wouldn't think. Yeah, but all the volumes coming in at the highs there at the S&Ps. That's pretty good. All right, crude, get some legs. Get some legs, baby. There's not going to be any good news coming out of Iran. You got to be crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. I mean, ideally, it's not the best spot for the trade, but I do like the fact that we did have a very well-defined swing low range at 101.90. You broke down, quickly rejected it, and came back in the range, and then resisted the bottom of that range. That's pretty much the thesis for this trade. Just based off what happened on the range. So we don't want to come back outside this range at all. You want there to be heavy resistance out here. So that's why we're willing to stop this at 85. Right? Because if you tested lower, right? If you were trying to break this and you got shoved right back in, are you going to be really willing to do it just right again? Probably not. I wouldn't think. But the fact that we're kind of like drifting lower here, I want to see a heavy volume come in and just lift this right now. Because anything other than that is not good. This is bearish flow. This is bearish flow. This is bearish flow. Right? It needs to turn bullish here. All right, because this is where it turned bullish last time. Still have the limit at 71, right? Yeah, 102.71. It's a half position, so I'll sell at least a quarter of it there if we can even get up there. I don't even know if we're going to get up there because this is a rejection right where you had this previous rejection. This is bearish flow right here at 102.26. So just give it a little wiggle. Give it a little wiggle, folks. Like, can you make an argument that the stop is now too tight at 85? Yeah, for sure. Because you can easily just wick this and then reject it and come right back in. But because equities are still just moving up, that's not good for oil. All right. Bullish, bullish, bullish. All right, that's going to hurt our crude trade, I think. That wouldn't be ideal. We would probably want S&Ps selling off here. But this isn't a breakout long by any stretch of the imagination, I don't think. It just doesn't look like it. Even though you're getting some pretty decent flow here. This isn't a great bullish. This isn't great bullish. This is a little bullish, and that's pretty bearish. So that's good. That's the volume, right? It came in where we wanted it to come in, right above 102 to lift price. But let's start clearing it out here, folks. Let's start making a move towards these highs. And most of the large transactions in crude been on the buy side. But again, how accurate is this data? Because it might be only as of like 10:15. I don't know when crude actually started updating this morning. And I don't really like that we're getting seller absorption here. It is the POC, so you do expect some absorption and some fluctuation in the absorption. But I really want S&Ps to start coming back down though. I want crude to run. Just go, baby. Just run. Come on. At least give me my first piece. All right, 71. Just give me 171. If we break these swing highs, I'd move to break even. I don't really want volume coming in here again at 30, pushing things back down. Because where the POC is and where our entry is within the distribution, you cannot move to break even. Because you can get your break even easily hit. And check back in on S&Ps. Again, some bullish flow towards top here, some bullish absorption. Failure to get back into this previous swing range. Again, look at the shape of this distribution a little bit. Like this is not an imbalanced trend distribution. This is a slowly extended balanced range. All right, maybe I'll just leave that chart on crude, and then we'll look at this on S&Ps. Right, and look where the volume came in on this bar. It didn't come in at the lows. It came in near the highs. So we'll see what happens here with S&Ps. Crude is just chilling. It's trying to get away. I mean, give me a break though. I want a clean break. I just don't like wick this, right? All right, let's see where this one finishes. We can finish up above these swing highs. I'll move to break even. If we can't, I mean, there could still be some more wiggle in here. And then maybe we stop just a quarter of it or something. Yeah, but historically, I've always traded crude so much better than I've traded S&Ps. I love trading crude more than I love trading S&Ps. So we'll go full break even stop. I mean, just make it 15. Limit still at 71 on a quarter of the half. Well, half of the half, I guess would be a better way to say that. So this is the volume that broke it. You really wouldn't want to come back down below it. So 102.25 and then 102.15. I mean, if it reverses this entire fucking move right now, I'm not going to be happy. All right, what are S&Ps doing, bro? They just holding up? Yeah, they're just holding up. Oh, god damn it. All right, so out of a quarter at 25, probably going to get the rest stopped out at 15. You fucker. Playing with my emotions. Smokey. Yep. All right, well, got a little bit of a profit on that, I guess. Got a few bucks. I'll take it. Fucker. Look at all the volume just came in and just pushed things back down because equities are holding up for the most part, right? Yeah, they're holding up. Volume came in here at the lows finally. Bullish. But I mean, how far can things really go on S&Ps today? Honestly, right? I mean, I think terminus of the range was 273 at most, and the more likely was the value area low at 266. So we're kind of in between those two areas now. So until S&P shows, and all the, look at that, all buyers, all large size on the buy side for S&Ps again. But how reliable is his data this morning with Trade of 8? I don't know. I really don't know. But man, where were we long at on S&Ps? Where is it? 254. No, that's a stop. 253.75. We were in at 253.75 in here. It was like over here, right? 253 at 956. Yep. We got up here and then it came back, stopped us out, went back here, and then moved. Oh well. Oh wells. So one somewhat profitable trade and then one break-even trade. And that somewhat profitable is a absolute somewhat. It was just a few bucks, I think. Yeah, go back to S&Ps. Right? This isn't like it's trending, but it's not like, you know, one of those days where you break, do a tight consolidation, break, do a tight consolidation, break. Those are like the real trend days. This is just like a minor, we're going to just test the waters a little bit type of trend. And you start to see the round and the volume. We're getting less and less volume as we move higher and higher. It's not a short though. Even though I think we're pretty much right at the spot where I speculated that the top of the today's range would be. You just with the bullish flow, you don't short that. And crude is just chopping still, just chopping back and forth, and it's still up on the day. The volume that comes up here at 270 is not bearish. So it's just a nice little slow grind higher. Time's up. 1041. Oh, I needed to go. I'll be right back. Just grinding higher in SPs. A little bit of bearish volume injection here at 270. Right below the POC from Friday. Not a short, though. Not a short. Not a short. Crude oil, you're being annoying. Being really annoying, crude oil. Yeah, didn't get the quick rejection down, though. I mean, maybe there's a short on S&Ps later. Maybe. Not now. Not now. No new news. Yeah, there's no major news or anything this morning. This is just a slow little grind higher. This is nothing to get excited about. Yeah, but all the large orders on S&Ps seem to be on the buy side after 10-12 this morning. So pretty much here, there's just been large transactions on the buy side. No sellers. No signs of seller absorption up here. I would have thought you would have saw some signs there. I guess not. No large sells either. And this is a little bit of a bullish flow move right here. Volume came into lows and lifted price. Right, but I mean, buying right here, I feel it's just absurd. Where are you taking this to, right? Where's the top of this range for the day? Are you expecting this to like trend or something? I don't know. I don't feel like this activity justifies that thesis at all. No siree bub. No siree bub. Man, you just get the impression that crude just wants to move higher, man. Just all this consolidation here. But you really don't want to see it get back into value if that's your thesis. And the top of the range here is still above you for the most part. All right, volume coming in is holding down price a little bit. All the volume here is at the high of the bar, not at the low of the bar. Let's just keep our eyes on S&Ps for a little bit. Got about 13 minutes left. Yeah, I think there's enough news tomorrow, enough economic news releases that institutions will be willing to take positions tomorrow. We got a large seller at S&Ps at 269.25. That was the first one since 10-12 this morning. Was that the sign of the top or is it the sign of the trap? But you got crude oil look like it wants to move higher. I mean, it's trying, but it's going to be coming off the top of this range here soon. I feel like this is kind of precarious for S&Ps a little bit. But you're not seeing enough bearish order flow here to say like, oh, you need to take things back to value. You've hung out here outside of value for quite some time. You've seen no signs of seller absorption, at least that I've noticed, or I caught my eye. Well, there it is right there. It was pretty small. Like you're not really resisting this prior range, right? This swing range right here. Like you're resisting it. Volume's coming in at the lows trying to push you out, but are you quickly like rejecting this? No. Is this a trended distribution? No. So couple different factors going on here. The shape of the distribution favors a short scalp. The order flow favors the long. The TPOs and the history of the distributions probably also favors longs. And this just isn't a quick rejection of the highs by any stretch of the imagination. You're rejecting lows quicker than you are rejecting highs for the most part. You're going to flashes of the solar absorption finally. So the only real things I favor the short trade one is that it's Monday. We favor normal balanced distributions on Monday than we do trended distributions. This isn't a trended distribution, it's a normal distribution. So the trade type of a scalp short matches the distribution type. And that's pretty much it. Is that going to be an entire thesis for a trade? Right, unless we see signs of seller absorption, some meaningful attempt to retake the highs that's quickly rejected. Yeah, there's no justification here. I don't think to short this at all. All the volume here at the highs on crude. That's a pretty meaningful ledge right there. All right, look at that. You just really can't get above 102.60. Someone sells exactly at the print of 102.60. Wild. Wild. So, right, I would have a better case for a short here if you do something like a quick volume injection, test the highs, and a quick rejection, and comes back down. Like, I mean, a good, earnest attempt to break these highs that gets quickly rejected. I would maybe consider the scalp short back into value. Right, because we now both have crude moving up and S&Ps moving up. One of those may be wrong. Which one is it? My guess it's S&Ps, not crude. Just based off what the news flow is. Right? You think there's going to be good news about Iran coming out anytime soon? It's probably all bad. Well, S&Ps just do not want to give up today, folks. Do not want to give up. Like, fuck the world. We're bulls, bro. No news. Check. CNN, yes, American flag merchant vessels have gone through. It says 2 American flagged merchant vessels have gone through the strait. Just 2. Three cruise ship passengers dead. All others ill after suspected hantavirus outbreak. Who the fuck still takes cruises? That's crazy. So it looks like crude wants to move higher. Like it's just holding here, right? Holding the top of the value area. I mean, do S&Ps want to fall here? Right? Was that what was that? Right? Was that the thing that we're kind of looking for? Where you take it back to value 50, 250? Last buyer was at 270, 269, 266. Yeah, they're all up in here. 259 is the last one. He's right here. You know, I don't want to short his 1054. No, it's a bad idea. It's a bad idea. Yeah, I think we wrap things up here for today before I'm too tempted to jump into some stupid fucking trade right now. Right? The order flow doesn't substantiate a short here at all. Right? This is some bearish flow, neutral to bullish, neutral to bearish, bullish, right? You have seller absorption here. You still haven't meaningfully broken buyer absorption here. You're kind of fighting the trend of the market. All right, we have not broken any buyer absorption today, but we've broken seller absorption. You're kind of developing a range here in between. So I don't think until you break this range and maybe test it on the underside and get absorption and quick rejection then, because you're not very quickly rejecting these highs. This wasn't a run up and then a snap down where a bunch of sellers were present. It was just like they met you up here, but they're not taking things lower. So I don't think it's a good short. So leave that fucking alone. And then crude is probably a long. All this volume coming in here right now is lifting prices trying to. You're not getting back into the value area. You're flirting with the highs of this pre-market range. Yeah, crude probably breaks higher today. Yeah, it kind of gives me that impression right now that crude's going to make a break, but we're not going to trade it because I've got other stuff to do, and it's 11 o'clock, and that is it for me today. God bless you. Thank you for tuning in. If you did, I'll see you. I'll see. There it goes. There it goes, boys. There it goes. And S&Ps break down. Yep, S&Ps broke down. They broke that range. They broke that range. Damn, bro. All right, we're calling it. Crazy. Oh, well. We'll get it probably tomorrow. I'm not going to trade this afternoon. I got too much other things going on. But God bless you. Good luck. Stay safe. And we'll see you tomorrow morning, hopefully. All right. Adios.